Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, what I want to do is actually talk about Shaped by the Algorithm by Mr. Snowflake and Amberlynn Reid. I've been watching it over the past couple weeks, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. And today I just got to the point of 2020. And so I just got to the point where she had a lot going on with, she had cancer and that kind of stuff. But I've watched everything he's covered from 2013 to 2020. And I want to talk about it, as somebody who has suffered with BED. I want to discuss it with you guys and just kind of like give my opinions on Amberlynn Reid in general, and what it made me think about while I was watching it and how difficult it's been to watch. It's really been an experience kind of like staring into the eye of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Like, it's quite a fever dream to watch it all play out. And I feel for her in a lot of ways. I do. Because I've been crazy like that before. I've been the person that has messy relationships. I've been the person that depends on people too much. I've been the person that, is doing so many different types of diets and gaining and losing the same weight and all this stuff, And I'm not exactly like her, obviously, but in terms of the struggle, it's something I can relate to so deeply. And it's scary for a lot of reasons, but it's scary to watch because I think when it's people like me, who have had direct experience with this ED, and it's just so like weird for me to watch because at this point I have almost not quite a survivor's guilt, but if you could think of it as something like that. It's kind of like watching somebody struggle with the demons that you struggled with for years. I struggled with it in a lot of ways almost as long as she has. And very recently, I have found myself struggling a little bit with a desire to relapse. And I have not felt that way in years. I have not binged since 2020. Since I know basically the day, it was like October. It was in October of 2020. And I never have ever since that time. But lately, I have been feeling that way, where I've been struggling. I just got to put it out there. I've been struggling financially. I'm struggling with my job right now. I'm struggling with the fact that like things have to change. I'm struggling with the fact that I've reached my lowest weight pretty much. I'm really close, if not there. I mean, I'm just kind of sitting here at the lowest weight I ever got to as an adult. I'm seeing my body changing, especially my arms and legs. I saw some loose skin on my inner thighs. And I just feel like everything right now is really at this fever pitch in my journey while I'm watching this. And I'm having those echoes of it. And what that looks like or what it feels like is kind of like there's situations where I've been tempted to buy something and eat it, not due to any physical reason, but for an emotional relief. Like I used to, because I feel very trapped in my situation. I feel trapped in a situation that has to end. And for me, that's a very triggering type of feeling that's similar to the feeling I had a lot in 2018, which I talk about is like my worst episode of BED ever. I was trapped in a job that I hated. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, or how long I was going to stay or leave California at the time. I didn't have like a set time because I was depending on someone. I was depending on my grandma at the time. So it was like when she wanted to move, then I had to move, and she kept changing her mind, or she wasn't sure. So I didn't know what my future held. And I'm just feeling very similarly to that. And it's triggering me. I had other times, 2020 was a pivotal moment. I had traumatic events happen. Obviously, the panorama happened, which was horrifically traumatic. But both my cats died right at the start of the panorama. And that really kicked off binging at that time. And I was around the same weight. And it's just this weird feeling where it's like I feel similarly to 2020. I feel similarly towards 2010, which is like when I became super morbidly obese. It's when I developed severe BED. Before that, it was more moderate, and it became severe, and I gained 50 pounds in 2010. And so I feel similarly to these weird times of my life, and I'm watching her, and I'm watching her go through these different eras, these different girlfriends, these different diets, the cycle, all of it. I used to have a cycle too. I used to have massive interpersonal issues. I used to struggle with empathy like she does. I used to have fear, such crippling fear over the state of my body, and a hopelessness of an impending death that's coming over me. I felt all those things. I've experienced all those things. And so when I'm watching her go through these things, it is so incredibly disturbing to me. And I know kind of how her mindset is because I had a similar mindset. And I know that, I hope she can figure it out. I honestly do. I really do. Maybe she's getting somewhere at this point. I don't know. I mean, probably not. But from what I've seen, from the years 2013 to 2020, it's like this is a person that is never going to get through this. It's a person that's never going to figure this out. This is a person who is unfortunately walking a path towards an untimely death. And it's due to an illness, a mental illness becoming a physical illness. And it's just like, I was demonized too. I've been the demon before. I've been the one that I've even gotten hate online, you know, over my weight and stuff. I know what that's like. I can't imagine it. You know, for me, it was a very small scale at the time. But I can't imagine getting it all the time. You know, how is she ever going to just feel like a human being anymore? Like, I struggled with it, and like knowing what I know about the process of losing weight, the hormonal steps behind it, the amount of like ego death that would have to take place for her, and how painful it is. I went through an extreme ego death last year in my weight loss journey, one that was trying to come in other attempts, but I could never get past it, and I finally did last year. And I just don't know. You know, I don't know how to say this without it just being really dark, but just know that I'm not saying this from a cold or dark place. Going through what I've gone through in the past few years, I don't know if someone like Amber has the fortitude to get through it, because the way out is difficult. It's not quick. It's not fun. It's not pleasant. She's in a position where she's in so much pain. Whether she tries to lose the weight or whether she stays the same or she gains, she's going to be in so much pain. I remember having those thoughts. Like, there's so many clips of her where she's like, I just want the real version of me to come through, or I just want to finally, there's this one where she's like, I just want to wake up and be the person that I'm supposed to be. And I remember having that thought so many times in my life. Like, so much of what she says is so relatable. And the constant going back and forth, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do this. I am going to do this. So for some of you guys who don't understand what she's doing, it's a part of a binge restrict cycle. And what it does for somebody with that ED is it gives us a feeling of euphoria when we give in. So you restrict so that you can give in and feel that euphoria. Because like when I was keto in 2019, I was struggling terribly with my BED that year. I mean, that year was probably one of the most white knuckling it, you know, very, very difficult trying to just get control of the actual ED since 2020 or 2021. I mean, it's been more so just about physical recovery. Like, as you guys know, that have viewed my channel a lot, you guys know I've been on my thyroid protocol very strictly for 3 years. I've never strayed. I don't have issues. You know, I'm not constantly changing my diet. Maybe I'll get rid of sugar for a while, then bring it back, then do that. But it's not really that different. And it's never like a hard commitment. It's usually just something that I'm feeling intuitively in my body, you know. But my overall diet is always the same. It doesn't change. That umbrella is still there. And so I don't do that anymore. And one of the things about it was like when I was eating carbs or when I wasn't eating carbs, when I would finally give in, I would feel such a euphoria from giving into it. And I think that's part of the disorder, because people don't understand that in EDs, there are restriction and binges across all of them. Even somebody who's Anna, they occasionally binge. There's occasional moments. And people don't understand. And it's so wild to me that she has this all documented, just like put out there. Like, I cannot believe it, because I see how people hate her so much, and I understand it. Like, I don't think her behavior is excusable. I don't. I think it's bad all around, but it's just like, how could she ever be redeemed? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think people forget about the humanity of a person sometimes when this person is just the evil person on the internet. And like I said, I need to be clear. Like, I would not be friends with Amberlynn. You know what I'm saying? I would stay away personally in some ways, because I know how awful she probably is, because I've been awful too. So I understand it, from that perspective as well. I do, It's like you're in a tornado of just like constant paranoia, emotion, depression, anger. It's like a constant shift between these three feelings: depression, anger, and fear. It's just a constant loop. When you're in that physical state, it's just constant. But when I hear her talk about her body, when I hear her talk about the fears, like, people don't understand that's a part of BED too. Part of it is you have these moments where you bloviate, or you journal, or you just think to yourself in your room, and you cry and you grieve and you think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, this is gonna kill me, da 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 da. Like, that's a part of the disorder. It's a part of it. It's all there. And I don't know why she has chosen not to get treatment. I think with some people, maybe the trauma, the childhood trauma is just too deep, and they don't want to let go of that coping mechanism. It's too much of a core of who they are. And for me, my childhood trauma, it wasn't like 100%. It was like a 50% trauma. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't hit me to my core. It like just missed it. Does that make sense? It's a weird way to phrase it. But the issues that I had as a child that were traumatic, they were traumatic, but it was for a shorter time. I still had a relatively stable upbringing. I still had a lot of good in my childhood and stability. Whereas Amberlynn, I don't think she did, So maybe this coping mechanism is just such a core. It's just so much a part of her core. At least it was at that time. I haven't caught up 100%, so I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not up to date. But I still want to talk about this as I was watching it. But it's like, I try to watch it because I want to see it. Because I have to see it. I have to see what it looks like on somebody else. And for that, I'm really thankful to her. Honestly. Because when you just see it so loudly, and by extension, I'm thankful to Mr. Snowflake. Because when you see it in someone else, you can see it for what it is. It's easier to see it for what it is. And so when I've been having those whispers of wanting to relapse, honestly, or almost thinking about, it's not that I'm not like on the edge of doing it. I'm not. I need that to be clear. I'm not. But it's just weird to have the desire. Does that make sense? So it was like I was listening to it, or I was watching it as I was at the grocery store. And I was just like, I can't, and I was wanting to binge. I was, and it's not like, I need you guys to understand, because I feel like when people hear that, they're going to think, oh my God, Alex is going to go eat 10,000 calories. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the idea of what I wanted to do was buy a bag full of jelly beans that are on sale, but it's 1,300 calories in the bag. And I wanted to eat it, not because I physically needed it, not because I'm hungry, not because I'm tired, not because of anything physical. I wanted to eat it purely for that distraction or that coping mechanism, which it wouldn't have necessarily been a binge to eat that bag of candy. It wouldn't have. It would have barely put me above maintenance, honestly. So I am in a deficit, but it's the motive behind it. That's the disorder. And I'm a little bit like, whoa, because I didn't realize that it was there still, or that there was still this line of thinking in my brain. And so watching this has helped me, because it's like, through a lot of tears, honestly, and a lot of thinking about it, it's like me closing the door on it through watching this documentary, because it is so far away from who I am now. And that's a huge, huge blessing, but my God, what is it hard earned? It really was. But it's just scary that there is a temptation there, and I have to be vigilant about it at this time. And it's just a part of the process, I guess. I'm really on the door of something totally new. I'm almost slower than I've ever been. I don't see it stopping. I've told you guys, this is not Amberlynn's channel. I'm not in the disorder anymore. It was just weird to realize I still have a doorway into it. If I wanted to self-sabotage, I could. If I wanted to go through that door and start it again, I could. But I said no. I said no. And it's just kind of one of those things of like, I'm never going to do that again. I'm not going to eat for an emotional escape. That's never going to happen again. It can't. I have to cut it off right at the root, because we don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. That's over. So I'm going to continue to watch it. I do want to make videos about it at some point. But I just want to talk about my experience of watching it. And I'm glad that Mr. Snowflake is good about like copyright and stuff. I appreciate that. I might even watch some of it again, but I know there's certain clips throughout it that I want to respond to. But yeah, I don't know. I hope I don't have to watch it again. I might, but if I need to, I will. That's part of the work, doing the work, because there's so much educational content in that. There's so much that needs to be explained. So maybe I will eventually do a series where I kind of just react to the whole thing. Maybe I'll do it too. I know another anti-FA YouTuber's doing that, but I might do it too at some point. But it'll be more so from that other perspective, you know. I think the one I'm thinking of, she's like an anthropologist. For me, it'll be a ex-BED person. So I can be like, hey guys, this is what's happening. I don't know if I'll do the whole thing, but we'll see. We'll see what I do in the future. But I think it's a really great amalgamation of a typical severe case that lasts a long time. So I need to see where she ended up, and I'm going to start watching her now, definitely. But yeah, I'm thankful for that, because it did. Staring into the Eye of Sauron, that is that documentary, it did remind me, and it did show me, and it did push me back from the ledge and get me to a point of saying, no, we're not going to enter into that again. That's a no. That's a never. That's a, we're going to see what else life has to offer, because we're not doing that again. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this, please thumbs it up. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Bye.